bullpen. Nobody comes and visits me in the
Are you still in
bullpen.
your room?
I'm afraid to ask when they move me, and I'll have to give them more, but I'll be able to stay.
Yeah. Not having that over your head for a while is nice.
Unless they voluntarily like move you out, because
Right.
like James has my old desk. But I can't say that I really love my spot. It's all right. I get to sit next to John, but not for very long. I screwed that up.
Oh.
I screwed it up because I poked the nest. I asked Gabe, like, hey, for Jan's spot, like, hey, Jan's moving up. Can I move in there? And he's like, yeah, right. And then he comes over and he asks, John, you want to move to Jan's spot? With me over here, the whole thing. Gonna strike while the iron's hot, I suppose.
Yeah, it's hard to concentrate.
Okay,
Your session.
trenches is out of order.
I don't know if that's ever gonna
Hey,
change.
Marilyn, quiet for her. So, let's see, we need one success story, probably from Aaron.
I had my first closing on Friday. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
You sold a house already?
Condo, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Isn't that fast?
Yeah, it was, looking back, it's like I touched base with her on March 1st.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I did meet her a couple weeks prior to that at an open house, but that's when I met with her, signed the AREC, and so yeah, we closed in 30 days. It was pretty awesome, but it was, it was kind of a unique animal. A deal had fallen through, so they had a recent inspection report, a punch list that was all taken care of, so it was just really turnkey. So yeah, it was nice. It won't happen again like that for me, I'm sure, anytime soon, but
That's good though.
it was a nice first one for sure.
Great.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
good deal.
Isn't that exciting?
Thank you. Yeah, amazing. Yeah,
I know, it makes you feel wonderful.
incredible. Yeah.
What's your whistle?
Sorry.
What's your whistle?
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, it's that carrot that just keeps you going for sure.
Okay, any other success stories?
I had a good open house on Sunday. Only had husband and wife, and the wife's mom came in. That was the only people that came in, that sucked. But yeah, the man and wife, they want to sell their condo and buy a home, and the grandma is too old for her third floor condo, so she wants to sell that and buy one on the first floor. So
Same building?
in the works, right?
And they here the age?
Yep. And but the thing is with the grandma, she's 2 weeks, she's remodeling the deck. And so that deal is not going to be for probably at least a month before she's ready to list. I don't know how long that'll take to do all that.
But you're gonna go look at her home in the meantime and give her a market analysis.
Yes, and so what I did was I put together the CMA for the husband and wife and some properties in Wasilla, and we're arranging a time to come view their condo. And at that point was when I was going to schedule to see her mom's.
And don't hesitate to take listing paperwork with you. And then there's another form, because what I try to tell these folks is, I know you don't want your home on the market right away. You want a week or a month in order to get your home ready. But in the meantime, I'd like to start my marketing campaign. So let's go ahead and sign a listing agreement today and delay marketing.
Okay.
And now you have them on contract. Because in that 1 month period, they could go to another open house, and somebody more aggressive even than you, if that's possible, is going to maybe capture them.
Is there a maximum time you can
No,
delay?
there's no maximum. But you must fill out that MLS form. Yeah, there's an MLS form that you've got to send in or you'll be fined. And Gabe has to sign it. So I forget what it's called.
You have 3 days. It's called non-MLS form.
Not
Yeah,
MLS form.
non-MLS.
So always carry that on all your listing presentations, because we really want to get that listing. We really want them to sign a
Right.
listing agreement. We can make that happen, but at the same time, when you get back to the office, turn that form in. You have to sign that.
Gabe signs it. You
Gabe
sign it?
does.
They sign it, we
So, okay.
Yeah.
Did
yeah.
you say non or not?
Non-MLS.
Non.
Actually, so when you take a listing agreement, you know they're not going to put the house on the market for whatever month or 6 weeks or 2 weeks or whatever. Just have them sign the non-MLS at the same time. Unless the house is really like turnkey, you're probably doing that, because there's never a time, because then when you put it on MLS, you don't want it to stay 2 weeks on the market once you finally get around to putting it on the MLS, because you're going to put in the contract date. But if you do the non-MLS form, then you put in the marketing date as the first date. And so this is 0 days on the market.
That's very good information because I was just sitting here wondering, I'm going, I don't like the pondering of time.
No, they
Like
might
you
change
said,
their mind.
somebody else might come
Or
along.
even more significant. If they change their mind, that's one thing, but if another realtor comes and grabs them, then that's not a good thing.
And that's 3 days from when they sign to get it to MLS,
Right.
not to get it to gate.
No, yeah.
No. It's 3 days from the time that you sign the listing contract.
Right.
Yeah, not the non-MLS form. And I'm telling you this because of recent experience. I had them sign the listing contract and then was gonna loop him the non-MLS form, my client, and she's just like, can you please sign it? First of all, anyway, whatever, but she just didn't get around to signing it for a while, and then it was passed, and I had to ask for forgiveness with MLS, and they were nice to me, but it was, it was a hair's breadth away from coughing up $100.
Yeah, because the Gestapo, but you know what, I like the fact that they do that, because there are other realtors out there that don't play by the rules, and they keep them as pocket listings, so they can maybe find a buyer themselves. And then get both sides of the commission, and poor sellers oftentimes don't even know that name.
So if this is listed Friday, we sign a listing agreement Friday at 5 o'clock at night, then Saturday and Sunday doesn't count for the 3 days?
It does.
Counts.
It does.
3
Okay.
3 days. Yeah.
Okay.
So just another way to capture the business.
Right.
Good open house. Amanda had a great open house. Tell us about your open house.
Well, I pulled up, and as soon as I pulled up, a little PT cruiser pulled up, and my son gets out and starts asking me questions, and I'm answering his questions, and I'm flipping on light switches, and we're walking through the home together, and he goes, yeah, I live right across the street, and I'm actually hoping to list my home with you guys. I'm like, oh, hi. And so that happened, and then shortly after he left, I had another couple come through, and they wanted to put an offer on the home right then and there if I had stuff to write it with. Like, we didn't end up doing it because we didn't decide to accept the offer. And then it was just such a busy open house. It was like person after person was coming through, and they were all just awesome. Like, full product. It was $379. What price was yours?
Wow, I was in deep thought.
I was just curious, you had a lot of traffic and you didn't.
357.9. No, 157.9, 2-bedroom condo.
That's where you were?
Yes.
That was a great open house.
Yeah, I had Kathy on the phone.
I might go over there with
Did you get the listing? Is he gonna, you have an appointment?
We checked in with him yesterday, and he
He wants to see us Saturday.
He wants to see us Saturday.
You know, Mark, you know.
Good for you. Very good.
No, we need to call him.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So Amanda goes out and door knocks now. She door knocks for listings. Isn't she just amazing? She's fearless.
Are you going by yourself or you going with somebody?
Mostly by myself, but in neighborhoods that I know very well.
And it's daytime.
Yeah, and I'm starting a new.
So had you made contact with that neighbor across the street already?
You know, his face looks so familiar. I think he was like the last one.
But had you knocked on that home's door?
No, I had not.
It's interesting, huh?
No, not there. No. She's been knocking in door knocks.
Right.
I started in my mom.
But it's like, I'm like, I need to make sure I do more door knocking too. The neighbor came across this.
Yeah. The business is everywhere.
Right.
It's everywhere. We just have to reach out and pick it up. Any field problems really quick? Great.
I have one resolution to field problem. If you list vacant land, it's very important that you know what the easements are. I have one deal come through on one of these vacant lots that I have. Because the diagram for the easement wasn't correct. So we found that out when they went to get financing, and so we fell through it.
Where do you get financing for vacant land?
Northland and First National Bank,
Okay. Well, what kind of interest rates, John?
7%,
7% amortized over
15 years.
15 years. So if you have people that need to finance land, Northland and First National,
And 30% down.
30% down. Whoa! Okay, Northland and First National, 30%, 7% amortized over 15 years. Interesting. Wow. everyone knows so much in this room, it's amazing. So guess what today is in the trenches?
Last day of our session.
There you go. It's the last day. So let me tell you.
Sad, I look forward to it.
Well, it doesn't,
We gotta think of what we're gonna have to do.
It's the last session for the points, before the points start over. Trenches are
Okay.
trenches, no, we're gonna, we'll get your phone number. But that reminds me, when do we need to draw names for the next session? How are we gonna do that? 1, 2, 3. That's not a bad idea. Just do a count off. So, is everybody here today gonna be part of the trenches next session? Yay, okay, she's right, count off.
1,
3.
1, 2,
3.
1. Carl's two. Now, did that help you at all, or did that make it
No.
worse?
Just gonna go back to now.
So who's the ones? If you're a one, yell. Kathy's a one, yell out.
Billy.
James.
John,
Those are the ones. Who were the twos besides Carl?
That's so good.
There were three.
It's so good. That close.
feels amazing. Yeah.
Team, so we don't get.
Just seemed just like-
Yeah, kind of exactly. Yeah. But it also, that's a little daunting. It's like, okay,
So let's talk
go
about the
get some
teams.
goals, you know.
The first place team is Lisa's team, the High Point Getters from Orlando, and that team had 1,400
Yeah.
and 72 points.
Felt like an oasis of desert.
Kathy, did you were one?
I'm one.
You were one.
So the second place team was Carla Steffens' team. The High Point Getter was, of course, John Wilson. Prospect Calling, 449. The third place team, also known as the losing team. Stop taking all that noise. Third, the third place team, also known as the losing team, with Jocelyn. Now, Kelly was captain, so she took it over out as a mercy, just out of her being merciful. She took over the team.
I would have pointed.
You were appointed. Oh, there you go. They didn't have as many points with the High Point Getter. It was Billy Worthy with 176 business cards.
Nice.
Awesome. So Team Captain Kelly, what do you all want to do for the rest of us?
What should we do? Move their clothes?
Absolutely. I love these videos.
Sound okay?
So that means next
Sounds incredible.
Tuesday, at our first session of the next trenches, the losing team provides their clothes for the winning team. That would be Kelly, Jamie, Honey, Kim, Mary Ann, Billy, and Carl. So come Thursday.
Well, why,
Nice drink.
why don't, we should just have the losing team get Ruger floats for everyone.
That's what we do.
That's what
That's
they
what
do.
we
Oh,
do.
we
Yeah, yeah, everybody in trenches.
No, we go home and we cry in our root beer floats.
Oh my man, I thought you were saying just buy the winning team, bring the winning team root beer floats. I'm like, I'll bring a gallon of ice
Middle
cream.
team could just bring beer.
Right? We'll enjoy it.
Thank you, Kelly, you're such a great sport. I just love this woman. Don't forget, bring your business to Kelly. She's gonna bring us with her float, so bring your business to Kelly. So, back to, I think we can finish this up this time. We're back to, going through a purchase and sale agreement page by page. And does anybody recall where we think we are? We think we have, we want to know what you thought. Does anybody need a package?
We can use one, Kevin.
Kelly needs a package, so what? Page or-
I need a package.
You get this, you get one.
That was my last one.
I'll just watch yours.
Not that, I don't really.
Maybe another one.
I'll
Anybody have an extra pamphlet? by any chance?
There.
Some people have.
Okay, what page are we thinking on? Let's go to page, I think we were at least on page 10. Because I remember talking about our team. So, you don't have a team, you don't need to talk and worry about this.
I can look at it. You wanna take this and sure. Oh, next one.
What are
Do you
we
need
doing? What's up?
I got one upstairs.
Is there anything other than
No, because we have the rest of the information.
and show of hands on these many, 1, 2,
We need what?
3, 4.
Okay. We're gonna keep going anyway. Page 10, we do an addendum page that speaks to the team members. And I think I asked this question last time. Why do we talk about our team members?
So there's no affiliation with another, with anybody else.
In the event that buyer or that seller is potentially related to any of these people on my team, that's a whole different ballgame. Very unlikely that it's going to happen. Be aware of that. Okay, now, let's move beyond the typical contract. We're going to move beyond that, and this is how we put things together. When we first meet with our buyer client, we have them sign the AREC like we're supposed to do. Do we all agree on that? Now I put it in our purchase offer. It goes in there. If this buyer wants to buy your listing, what else might you need to put in this offer besides this AREC?
Neutral.
Waiver right to be represented, right. So if you are selling your own listing, you're going to have a buyer AREC, a seller AREC, a buyer waiver, and a seller waiver, to be perfectly safe. Okay, this will flush out to be 4 documents rather than 1. Okay. The next thing that we put in all of our contracts, and this, I know we talked about this last time, and I'll repeat it. There was a time when we were selling houses. You could fog a mirror, you could sell a house. Just a hot market, we sold 13 houses 1 month. And we had a lot of new construction sales going on. And buyers would wander around and talk with the new construction people on site, the realtors on site. And that realtor might have thought that was their buyer. So this form was developed as a result of that, called the buyer statement. And this is a document where when you're writing the offer for your buyer, the buyer is stating that you have the right to write this offer for him, that he did not request representation from anybody else. And in particular, this came out of the days when a lot of the new construction licensees were sitting in new construction houses, talk to your buyer, and therefore consider that that buyer was their client. So to prevent that, we developed this form.
You do that on every transaction?
I do on every transaction.
Is that a buyer representation agreement?
No, that would be different.
Yeah.
And that does, I never put the buyer rep agreement in the purchase offer. The buyer statement is simply saying. Don't ever hire 12. We love a man. He's doing a great job. Okay, John, I put these in every one of them. It just keeps people honest. I also, it's another way of talking to the buyer and confirming the relationship you have with the buyer, even at the time you're writing the offer.
I did at first on that offer, but then I started receiving offers and nobody else wanted to do it, so I just stopped doing it.
It's just another page, it's my 13 of 21 pages.
Okay.
Not necessarily, it's not that highly critical, but I do it because it's one more way of sort of controlling the deal. In this particular case, we wrote an offer that was a Keller Williams listing. So we have the Keller Williams disclosure of affiliated business relationship in their package online. So we have our buyers sign that and that goes in the offer.
Did you do that for every company?
Now, Kelly, if the listing realtor has not put this online, I don't go looking for it. But if it's online, we have them sign it. And if the listing realtor neglected to put it online or neglected to put it in the house as part of the disclosure package, eventually this will be sent to us by the listing realtor because they'll be in trouble with their brokerage if it doesn't get signed by our buyer. But if I have it, I include it in the package in the beginning. And in all of our disclosure packages on our listings, we already have them in our disclosure package, which would be this document called Disclosure of Conflict of Interest Affiliated Business Arrangement. This is the Jack White form. And that does need to go in with their offers. And we want the seller to sign this as well. That's, if you have that in front of you, that's page 15 of 21.
So that's necessary even if they're not going to use LASK title or
Yes, that's a
or home
great
state.
question. That's an excellent question. And the reason we throw it in there, we've been advised to throw it in there because in the event your transaction changes hands from to a different lender or a different title company, you've now covered your bases with that. And I'll say to the buyer, Mr. Buyer, I know we're not working with Home State Mortgage or LASK title, but I do want you to know that in the event we for some reason to change to those vendors, you've already given us permission to work with those people, and you are now aware of the conflict of interest.
I've had people refuse to sign that.
Really?
Yeah, well, my last deal.
The seller or the, you represent the buyer?
refused. I was representing the buyer and the
Yeah,
seller.
a lot of other realtors out there, if their no's out of joint firm, I have no idea what reason, and they don't have their seller sign it. So, that's okay. Everyone does their business.
She just needs to know.
But that's another reason, John, I know in my contract pages, I can't control the transaction. Of course, this is required, the home inspection document. And if this is going to be an FHA or a VA loan, what is the other document we need besides this home inspection document? That's not the right one.
VA, FHA.
The VA, yeah, the VA, we don't have it in this offer because this is a conditional offer. And I forget what that's called. No, it's the HUD recommendation that you do home inspections for government loans. And so if it's a HUD document, I always put this one in here because again, this is a Jack White document. It's a little bit more explanatory. And the other thing that you better notice here on this document is it speaks to the cost of the home inspections. I don't know any home inspector today that will do an inspection for $300 to $450. So I handwrite the cost of the inspections there. That's page 16 if you're trying to keep up. And have them initial it. Okay, page 17. Acknowledgement regarding home inspection reports. This explains to your buyer the consequences of possibly of giving the home inspection to the lender. And I can see the handwriting on the wall, will probably validate for me these inspections and these repair limits. We're getting closer and closer and closer to having to give them to the lender.
They are causing so much problem.
Oh my God.
It's horrible, almost every transaction.
I know.
Because what happens is we don't get the home inspection.
Yeah.
Okay? But we get a repair addendum. And the repair addendum, I had 2 last week that we send out notes. My process will send a note and say, do we have all the amendments and addendums to the transaction? And invariably we'll get one in at the very last minute for this repair addendum with a whole bunch of repairs on it. We still have to have a home inspector go and make sure all those repairs are done.
You go off the dates of when the addendum was made versus the inspection.
What's that?
You go off the dates to
No dates.
when the addendum was put into when the final inspection was.
No, that really doesn't matter so much. Is that when we get a repair addendum and it's asked for 6 repairs, that we didn't get a home inspection, so we didn't know there were any repairs. And since that was part of the contract, we would hide them. Now it's part of the contract, and any repair addendums that you give us, we're going to enforce that the repairs are done. And so a home inspector even though we've been told the home inspection doesn't exist, has to go out and sign off with photos that those repairs are done.
It is it's very complicated right now. We have a transaction where the buyer we represent the seller, the buyer has asked for repairs, we've gotten bids. And the buyer wants the seller to say, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to do? If you've got bids, what do you, and I'm saying, until the appraiser's been there, we're not going to agree to anything, because I don't want to agree to this list of repairs, and then the appraiser or the underwriter or the lender now is going to call for 10 more.
And that happened to me last week.
Yeah,
What kind of loan is it?
conventional. Steve doesn't say.
I thought you were the one that said it, that on a conventional loan, we don't have to give you.
You don't have to
repairs.
give me a home
We
inspection.
can tell you, you will not be getting a home inspection.
You can do that on any loan but the cook inlet, Berlin, and neighborhoods. We do not have to have a home inspection.
Okay.
Give it to us, and
But we
I
can't
got
do
one
that on
from-
FHA or VA or,
the FHA does not require them, nor does VA.
okay.
But the problem is, they want all the amendments. So if your repair amendment says, and this is the way I do it, and I kind of figure out how I'm going to be happy doing it differently. My repair amendment states, parties acknowledge receipt of such and such an inspection report. I do that because I want it made of record that the seller got the inspection report and the buyer got it. The minute Kelly sees that verbiage on my repair amendment, she'll say, oh, I know there was an inspection. And she may not ask for the inspection, but clearly there's all these repairs that need to be done. And do you ask for the inspection report? I've had
If
them.
there's any reference to an item number, so if you, item 6P needs to be replaced, then we know there is one and we will ask for it. If you say, grout in the master bathroom tub needs to be repaired, and no reference to, assuming there's a home inspection out there, then we won't say there's one.
So the repair amendments have to be probably not called repair amendments, they have to be called amendments. And you don't want to reference the inspection reports, which gives me a lot of heartburn, but I'm going to figure out how to make that work.
This is just a loophole, just to make it
Back in the
so
olden
that
days,
inspections don't derail.
back in the olden days, underwriting really wasn't that about repairs. I mean, yes, they were strict about it and wanted a sound house for the buyer.
Right.
Number two, the home inspections were done and we didn't, they were never given to us. Three, if there were a home inspection done and y'all agreed to repairs, we never knew about it.
Okay.
And the laws state now that any addition to your contract have to be provided to the member.
And that's
we've
just
had
the
it-
law, additions to the contract, and that just sweeps in all repairs,
And a couple things have
references
happened.
to repairs.
The title company gets it, but we don't. So the title company at the very last minute sends it over and we didn't know it existed.
And they can.
The inspection, title company gets the inspection?
No, and the addendum at the very
Oh,
end.
I see, okay, right.
Now, what happened this week, Denny, I have a deal with him, and most of y'all don't know Denny, I'm sure, but I got a home inspection. He gave me, he does things right, and he gave me the home inspection, and we had an appraiser go out, and the home inspector go out, and call for items to be done, and underwriter actually called for 4 more items.
Oh, yeah, I've had that happen recently, where the
One more.
underwriter got involved and.
It was, one of them was, like a crank in a window, which wasn't even an egress window. So they can at any time. So once that home inspection is given to us, it's touchy. Depends on what side the printer on though, I want the repairs to be done, so they got them all done.
And Kathy, what was your verbiage that you used? Sellers acknowledge receipt
What I
of,
usually do in fact, we have a repair amendment that we can hand out, it's a complicated one, but one of the very first things I say is parties acknowledge receipt of the following named inspection reports. And then when they sign that amendment, they acknowledge they got those inspection reports. Because a lot of sellers, if they get a bad inspection report and the transaction falls apart, even though the law says that inspection report now must become part of the seller's property disclosure by statute, many sellers want to throw it away. So I don't want them to do that. walking right by the same road that my clients are playing by. So I say parties acknowledge receipt of the following inspection reports, fix all these things 1 through 10. Kelly gets that, it's crystal clear that the inspection report, so that Bell Street Lehman report, and yet I'm in a quandary because I want, let's say I leave the inspection report information out, but I want the repair done exactly the way the inspector called for it. Exactly, because it's gonna be a reinspection, and I want it done right the first time. But if I just come up with some verbiage, say, fix this, and there's no point of reference as to how to fix it, you're going in big circles again. So it is not, it's not an easy solution to this.
And then a home inspector can call for repair to be done by a licensed bonded contractor. Okay, so when we get to the end, we want to make, we'll make sure that that repair was actually done by a licensed bonded contractor. Okay,
Get the same inspector going and re-inspect?
yes. So when you kind of talk about verbiage on there, you would need to put on there, grout to be done by a licensed bonded contractor. Okay, so it's,
And by the way, just for talking purposes, I never require a bonded contractor to put a GFCI in, it doesn't take a bonded contractor. I want a licensed handyman or a licensed professional, but I don't think they need to be.
but if the home inspector calls for it, that's where we get nailed. Because he can call for a professional to actually do the repair.
Yeah, now, I'm not seeing a home inspector call for bonded, but I have seen a home inspector call for a licensed electrician or licensed mechanical contractor, but I have not seen a home inspector put bonded on there. I have other realtors who don't understand the ramifications of saying bonded, because if it's a bonded contractor, his fee is 3 times the handyman's fee. So some realtors will come at us with bonded, and I can move it, and say, we're not gonna hire bonded. We will hire a licensed handyman or a licensed electrician or something of that nature. But I've never seen an inspector call for bonded, unless maybe it was tremendous foundation work or something. So anyway, there's not
Virtual
a perfect
engineers.
solution. Just, I don't know, I don't have an answer. We need to get unless we'll have an answer.
It's tough. I think like you were starting to say, is someday eventually we're just gonna be.
Yeah, just go back to where we were at one time and just hope that the lender and the underwriter and the appraiser don't go crazy. Okay, page 17 and 21, this is the document that basically tells your buyer, if you give that inspection report to the lender, your deal might fall apart, but we're the lender, it almost doesn't matter now. It's gonna fall apart anyway. No, it can't. Title 21, page 18 and 21. This is probably not that critical a document. There's some reference to this anyway in the first 9 pages of your purchase offer, but I don't think it hurts to have your buyer sign it. And I simply tell the buyer, like, we're looking at putting an offer on a property that's on a main thoroughfare here in Anchorage. And I will definitely want our buyer to go to the community website and check to make sure there's not any zoning changes that might affect this property later. But in the heart of a normal neighborhood, this is not critical. But my thinking is the more you educate your buyer, the more your buyer is educated, the more they're bonded to you and the better job you've done. This is an educational document. And it helps them realize they can't do this without you.
The valley has done some.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a different but similar one in the valley. Square footage disclosure form. I love this form. This form will save you from your lawsuits. Why is that anybody? Here's what happens. This is a very important form. The tax records will say the square footage is 2,000. The listing says it's 2,300. The appraiser says it's 2,100. So all you can do is fill this out, and I reference previous MLS listings, I reference what the tax records say, and I have the buyer sign it, because until the appraiser goes and measures, if he measures it correctly, who really knows what that square footage is?
I've seen several come across that say buyer to verify.
In the listing agreement, on MLS? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
in the contract.
Oh, in the purchase offer? Oh, very good. Very good. Anyway, I think this is a very important form.
That's actually a pretty good idea because it puts the onus on the buyer to
Oh,
like,
exactly.
it's like you like the house, maybe square footage isn't that big a deal. I mean, you're gonna raise the stink if it's 100 feet less or
And I have had
Whatever.
people do that.
And they will, they will.
Oh, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I think some house is 1,500.
Exactly.
1,490.
There have been lawsuits over
like
that.
10 square feet. That's like
Many years ago, and I know this because I've done this so long, many years ago, when I practiced in Texas, we actually would measure each room of a house, ourselves personally, and put that on the listing.
We did that in Texas too.
Did you? And when I came to Alaska, they didn't do that up here, so I said, why not? Well, there's been too many lawsuits over missing square footage. I'm thinking, well, that's actually a really very good idea. So we don't even, and then we would actually take a tape measure and measure the foundation of the house, do a formula and come up with the livable square footage when I was in Texas. A lot of onus on the realtor. It is, it's too much.
yeah.
Kelly, I just read this again on this square footage disclosure. Buyers are glad to verify the information, so it's on this document as well. Then we always throw a page of the MLS in the listing, in the offer. I know it helps the lender, as I said that last time. It also keeps the parties honest. If there's a washer dryer that was mentioned in MLS, the seller's giving the buyer, and you had it on the bill of sale, and then you would go to closing and that washer dryer is missing. This document helped my buyer get a brand new washer and dryer from the listing realtor. Not from the seller or me, but the listing realtor.
And it's very helpful for you guys to put these, when you get them to the lender, the listing page here, because when we go in and try and pull it up for whatever information, and it's pinned, our access to our MLS, we can't see it.
You can't see everything, yeah, you can see the public, I think.
Well, not if it's called pinned.
Oh, that's true. Okay, the last page, and I always put this as the last page because if your title company forgets to collect for a warranty from seller or buyer, the thing goes to closing, you didn't remember there was a warranty, and 3 months later, the water heater fails, and they thought they bought a warranty, but you neglected to get the warranty paid for. I've seen a lot of realtors buy warranties for their clients. So we purposely make it the last page of the contract, so it's never overlooked. And even if the buyer has waived the warranty, we put waived on it, the buyer sign it, goes in the contract, so we can prove we offered it. But your buyer can say, well, if you'd only told me about a warranty, I could have gotten a brand new water heater, so now I want to sue you. Well, Mr. Buyer, you actually waived this warranty at the time we talked about the offer.
Kathy, how long do you keep your files?
We're supposed to keep them, I think, 8 years, but we try to keep them at least 10. Amanda thinks I keep them for 20, but I don't. She keeps wanting to burn them.
Well, that would be a perfect example of it.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say something else about this too. The other issue is if you don't, well, no, never mind, I can't remember what I was going to say. But we always make it page of the contract, whether it's waived or not waived. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So you're sitting with your buyer, and your buyer says, well, I'm not sure I want to do a warranty. Can I think about it? Let's get this offer written, let's get the option, then let me think about the warranty, and I'll tell you about it later. They will never remember, nor will you. So what I say is, you know what? If you want to do a warranty, that's fine, tell me later, but tonight we're going to waive it.
Yeah,
Oh, I'll find it.
okay.
Yeah, it saves you bacon. So don't let them know the things about that, it'll hurt you later. Okay, any questions about this so far? We're going to have even more fun. Okay. Did you get everything you need for the new team?
Sure.
Yay, new teams.
So going around it now, so these are some of the clauses that Kathy has.
Yeah,
in
okay,
case
so
that
this
was
is the
never-
application. It's also, use it as a waiver.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have enough. That is stuff to fill.
Oh, yeah.
Take one of them.
Oh, sorry.
This is the,
I thought you said rename.
when you want to waiver it, this is the form for it, right?
That's a form for acceptance and waiver. If it's accept, it's on the right-hand side. If it's waived, they sign on the left-hand side. But the other thing I do also is I I write across wage, I write wage across it so we don't have a heart attack, think, oh my God, what word do we just pull for? Mine says wage, then I have an initial. Okay, let's jump quickly to this fun thing, is an addendum or amendment page. And what I did here is I went through all the clauses that, for one reason or another, I'm gonna use, depending on the circumstances of writing the offer, and I just wanted to share some of this with you. And remember, this is just my ideas, it doesn't have to be everybody's ideas. So we always number our amendments, we number our addendums. So, for example, if you do an amendment to the contract, I call it amendment number 1, or 2, or 3. I think that helps. Number 2, the appraised price must either meet or exceed the agreed price. The parties agree to renegotiate price and/or terms. If parties cannot come to an agreement, earnest money to be refunded to buyers. The truth is that is in the boilerplate language of a purchase offer. However, if you're writing an offer and you're offering 10,000 above list, and you're not 100% sure that it's going to appraise, you want to kind of flag it for all parties that, hey, if it doesn't appraise, we need to talk about it. So if you've got something, so that if you're in a multiple offer situation, and you're having to write an offer above list, this kind of keeps everybody honest. Yet on the other hand, it might be the very reason that the listing realtor will advise the seller not to take it. Because if it's a multiple offer situation, and let's say I'm a listing realtor, and 3 of you bring me an offer on my listing, and one of you says, and they're all above list, and one of you says, if the appraised price must either meet or exceed, price agree to renegotiate, I'm going to take somebody else's offer as long as John can convince. My counter to John would be, in that instance, John, if the appraised price is less than the agreed price, your parties agree to pay the difference. That would be my counter offer back in a situation like that, which is why I may not accept number 2. So there's a lot of thinking that goes into writing a good offer. A lot of thinking about the what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? Which is why we like to talk with the listing realtor and ask a lot of questions. Are you expecting offers? How long is it on the market? Have you had offers before? What's the seller looking for? Have you counseled the seller on the potential for closing costs? Okay, number 3. If buyers opt to have inspections performed, buyers have the right to approve the result of all property inspections within the contract timelines for approval, and the right to approve the quality and scope of work of buyer requested and or lender appraiser required. And I've now added the word underwriter to that, since we are underwriters. Lender appraiser underwriter required the treasurer makes modifications, if any. Okay. If I have a situation where the seller, I'm representing the buyer, and the seller's done all the fix-up work in the home, and it's horrible work, but the seller thinks he's a real handyman, right? I want to cut that off at the pass now, because I don't want that seller doing the repairs that would be required that the buyer might ask for, the lender may call for, because he can't do good work. So I might throw that in there so that the buyer has the right to approve the quality and scope of the repairs. Number 4, buyers permitted a final walkthrough inspection of the property prior to closing to determine that the property is in the same or better condition than it was at the time of buyer's inspection. If inspection performed, now that if inspection performed was to make Kelly happy. So she can't say, well, I just know there was an inspection. Well, how do you know that, Kelly? Or at the time of buyer's last visit of the property, whichever occurs later. Eventually that little clause will probably have to go away. Now, there's something that's happened more recently with TRID. Because of TRID, we are finding that we want to do our repair walkthrough long before we do our final walkthrough, because of the timelines of having the buyer sign disclosure documents or final closing documents with the lender 3 days before we actually can go to real signing. So I've gotten now in the habit, and I'm not thrilled about going back to this house over and over again, but if there were repairs done and we want to make sure they were done correctly and the buyer's going to be happy with them, then we want to go over there maybe 2 weeks before the actual closing date. Because if the repairs aren't done correctly, you need a window of time to get them done right. The other problem we're running into is this happened recently. Our buyer wanted to go over there and look at the repairs without her inspector because she didn't want to pay the re-inspect fee. And they were minor repairs. They were qualified to look and determine. That's cool. We go do that walkthrough inspection. We sign off on the walkthrough documents. We were happy with the repairs. Joe, I think this was on this transaction. Joe was ready to kill somebody. At the last second, the underwriter said, by the way, we think that there should have been other repairs done. We finally got the underwriter to back off, but the underwriter wanted the fence to be repaired. Please. So after we'd already done our final repair walkthrough, the underwriter wanted photo and finals as well. So we had to now hire the home inspector, go yet back over there and do photos and final, take pictures of the fence that had a board missing, and a ground level walkway that had some rotted boards. Fortunately, all of that we made all that go away finally. It didn't have to be done, but we had to jump through all these extra hoops, and it has to like close in by 2 weeks. So I don't want to scare you out of business people. Hang in there, okay? Okay, number 5. Sellers agree to pay up to $5,000 or whatever towards buyer's closing costs, reserves, prepaid tax prorations, and dues if applicable. Buyers agree to pay the overage if any. I think that's a very important statement to put in there. If the closing costs are $10,000 and the seller's paying $5,000, if you don't comment on who's paying the other $5,000, you can assume the buyer's going to pay for it, but assuming gets everybody in trouble. So I say buyers agree to pay the overage. If any, that helps the buyer remember, and buyers are not as sophisticated as maybe they should be. And I've got buyers that say, oh, they're going to pay my closing costs. Yeah, but they're only paying $5,000. You've got to pay the rest. So that clause works for me. If seller's contribution does not equal the agreed amount, there shall be no adjustment of sales price. Why would I do that? Why would I put that in there? Here's why. The list price is $300,000. The buyer wants the seller to pay $10,000 of their closing costs. So they make an offer of $310,000. Okay. So now who's paying the closing costs? The buyer. He financed them. He financed $10,000 in closing costs. We go to closing, and the closing costs only come to $8,000. But the buyer actually paid $10,000 over list to get the seller at the end of the day to pay $8,000.
And just some correction there, you can't add the closing costs into a loan. You can raise the sales price and the seller pays them out of that. That's good.
Okay. Yeah, so the seller paid the $10,000, but the buyer at the end of the day, because he financed them, maybe I'm saying that wrong.
So, like here,
If he paid $310,000 for a home, then he could have paid $300,000. Isn't he financing $10,000 over 30 years?
it's percentage of the difference.
Okay.
It's always going to be a straight $2,000, but it's the increase is so the seller nets that much overage and then pays the balance of the price or whatever you do right now. But we can't add it into the loan amount.
In order for the buyer to finance the $10,000 in closing on paper, it has to say the seller is paying the $10,000. Right.
Yeah, that would be a good way to look at it.
So just always know that just because y'all raise the sales price for that to happen, it's got to appraise that higher amount.
Yeah.
So then if it didn't,
If it didn't appraise for $310,000,
and you were saying,
then clause number 2 helps.
So you're attaching this with every offer that you write?
And number 5?
No, this amendment, you're
No. These are just, no, not at all, John.
Okay.
Depending on the circumstances, these are just other standard amendments that I do.
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. Evans, no, don't.
I
Don't put every offer, you never have an offer accepted there. I'm so sorry.
You have number 4. Buyers permitted to final walkthrough inspection of property. That one.
I typically throw that in there.
And then but you also have it on your additional terms and conditions on the purchase and sale agreement.
Oh, this is a real life transaction. These are just clauses that I use.
Okay.
So if there's a duplication, that's why.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, so anyway, the bottom line is your buyer is going to be real upset if he paid $10,000 over list and it was only $8,000 in closing costs to pay. So I throw that in there so he can't complain.
So they can only pay what there is. You can't give the buyer any extra money that's over and above the closing cost.
But I mean, if he raises the price 10,000 to cover closing costs and it only ends up being $8,000, the seller walks away with a
Couple grand.
couple thousand
Your
bucks.
buyer's a little upset. That's why we had that conversation at the time we write the offer.
Yeah.
And then they sign this document.
But we try, to get as close as we possibly can when we're doing the estimate for you, when you go in to do that. We try as hard as we can to get as close as we can. I have a situation right now where it's been such a long period of time that we have pulled a new credit report on the guy. He had a zero balance on a credit card. He charged $5,000 on it. His score went from 767 to 716. And not only did he split the 5,000, but it went to 5,010, which was over his credit limit. And that's what caused his credit score to go down. Now he's got a point. He only had a quarter point, but depending on where your credit score falls, so now he's got an additional 0.75. So circumstances can happen during the process, but
Which causes
which causes that
your
8,000
closing
to
costs to go up,
10,000 to vary.
That reminds me of another story. We sold a property to a pilot about 6 to 8 months ago, and it was a home he bought and wanted to fix it up. So just before closing, he goes and he gets a credit card with a $20,000 credit limit on it. He doesn't use any of the credit, but when they did a final search for him to go to closing, they saw this new $20,000 limit on the credit card, and we almost didn't close because the lender is thinking, oh my gosh, if he borrows $20,000, he doesn't qualify for this house anymore, even though he borrowed zero at that point. So he had to go close the credit card out before he could go to closing.
The one that's important is he must have been very close to his debt ratio limit, to where we brought that in approval. If it wasn't, and the guy, made $150,000 a year, and that if he charged it all up and had a payment of $300, we would calculate that into what his debt ratio would be with it. And so that must have been very worthwhile.
Oh, it probably was, yeah. It probably was. So number 6, I always like to identify a contract effective date. So it's not vague. Number 7, within 12 days of contract effective date, buyers will determine that they and the property are eligible for lender-required homeowners insurance. I don't do that as much anymore, but that saved the transaction because the seller had not disclosed that there had been a fire at the property until I encouraged my buyer, we didn't know, I just said, you need to confirm that you can get a homeowner's insurance. My buyer went to get insurance on this, to check to see if he could get insurance on the property in that 12-day window. And it was disclosed then that there'd been a fire because there was an insurance claim. My buyer opted not to buy the property because he no longer trusted the seller.
And Dagger red flagged that house. So what Kathy's got this in here is they may not be able to get insurance on that house. Because in the insurance system, I've actually had that happen one time where there were a bunch of claims, flood, fire, and so on, and that house itself wasn't able to get insurance.
This is because the insurance company believes that because one thing, like lightning strikes twice, essentially. Like that's just house causes
Well,
problems.
I'm not saying that this house wouldn't have been able to get insurance on it. It's just that because the seller didn't disclose it, my buyer walked.
Oh, I see.
That's why he walked. It probably was insurable.
Well, yeah, no,
But I'm
there's
just-
just
I'm
yeah, what
saying-
she was, yeah, Kelly was saying,
The
yeah.
house was not
So there's two situations, like,
Yeah.
sometimes you just need to disclose if there was a claim that you put on the house because sometimes the insurance company, there's too many claims, then
And you know, I don't use this clause
Oh, sure they
anymore.
have.
The more clauses, I try to minimize, we talked about this last time. I try to minimize the number of clauses because I'm finding, other than the people at this table, nobody in the real estate business can read. Nor can their clients read. So less is more. I mean, if you see a reason to use some of these to protect the client, protect the transaction, go ahead and use them. But I try to dumb this down, but this will help all of us remember what you should do. You should tell your buyer, check and see if you can get insurance on that house right away. Because for the reasons we just identified. But to throw that in an offer, I've done this before, but to throw it in an offer in a multiple offer situation, you're gonna scare the other realtors and their sellers will understand it. In the event buyers opt not to do inspections, all or in part, buyers may need to tender an inspection waiver. Okay, I'm the listing realtor. And many times in a counter offer back to the buyer, I want the other realtor to be put on notice. If their buyer opts to waive their inspections, I want an inspection waiver right away. And actually, I think it's required here at Jack White. If they don't, if your buyer or the other buyer doesn't do inspections, it's gotta be a waiver to protect us. Okay, let's see, number 9. I'm trying to move faster so we don't have to do this for another week. Oh, yeah. Okay, you're representing, you don't pay your dues for the buyer. You represent the seller, so you can put that clause in there. Yeah, my seller will pay $5,000, but we're not going to cover any of the dues. Because dues are allowable closing costs. Let's see, number 10. In the event of, okay, so you've written a repair amendment, and the lender, underwriter, appraiser calls for 10 more items to be repaired that the parties didn't agree to. Assuming that's a possibility, you're going to want to say parties agree to renegotiate price and/or terms. If there are repairs over and above what was agreed to, parties agree to renegotiate price and/or terms. That way, it's addressed up front, and hopefully nobody can put a gun to your buyer's head. Number 11, in the event of a competing offer or offers, this is called an escalation clause. The buyers will pay $5,000 or whatever over the highest offers net to sellers up to the purchase price. Always have a cap on it. In the event of an escalation, sellers shall provide proof of competing purchase offer with pre-approval letter or proof of funds. Sellers represented warrant that competing offers are true and valid offers. So if you're in a multiple offer situation and your buyer is willing to do an escalation clause, this is some verbiage that you can put in your offer that will at least put a cap on what they're willing to pay and ask the seller at some point to prove there truly was other offers. Number 12, I put in all of my offers. Notice that between parties to be in writing. That's in the boilerplate language of the purchase and sale agreement, but I still like it to be pretty obvious, especially to new realtors, brand new realtors, not you guys, but a lot of the new realtors, I'll say it, a lot of the other realtors, the untrained masses, don't understand that everything needs to be in writing. It's all through the contract, but it doesn't hurt to read, to say it again. Number 13, to prevent unnecessary reinspection costs if inspections were done. All re-inspections to be done by a permit only. The reason, as a listing realtor, I've had selling realtors run over to my listing to confirm that the repairs are done with the home inspector in tow. Who pays for the first re-inspection? Buyer. So I've had selling realtors run over to my listing where the repairs were done without permission, with a home inspector in tow that the buyer paid for the inspector to say, oh, they're not done right or they're not done. And now my seller has to pay to get that inspector back up. So either pull the lockbox off if you don't trust the other realtor, or throw this in there so that if everyone's on notice that no re-inspection. See that? It's all came from it. Okay, let's see. Number 14, prior to buyer final walk inspections on the provider $6 modifications. Make sure that the receipts that you ask for and the receipts you provide to the other Resource certificate, most employees require resource certificates. But if the employee is in 12 days, the contract is going to be closed for resource certificate. Obviously, you don't get the resource certificates. Number 16, you're the realtor, and your seller does not want to pay because every year he has plumbing, mechanical contractor, common services. So if you don't want to check the seller and have to buy a mechanical description, you might want to just get this. That basically says to the selling realtor, if there's going to get a mechanical description, you're going to my seller. Because every single one that's going on the planet will always call, always going to buy seller to buy it. And then I'll pass it. So my conversation with my seller is, the buyer can ask me to sell it. If your seller's going to do it, because I'd rather keep it what? I'd rather that my seller. If your seller's, not a big one,
So I had my very first listing appointment. I talked to me back in January. I told my client, like, if you haven't had your furnace inspected, do so ahead of time, and we'll have that available. Is that good?
I think that's very wise, especially with older houses, especially for
Exactly.
and I think it's very wise. Either one, another one, but push back on this mistake.
Right.
The buyer can want to, I never, buyer, I want my even because it is your seller every year has this is a piece service is not a
Yeah, and actually, it's really like I have a rental house, and I had the furnace inspected by a contractor. I'm like, I'm concerned about the heat exchanger. Like, oh, yeah, like when he was all done, he called me. Yeah, well, everything looks good. The blower looks good. I couldn't get the heat exchanger, it was too far back. And I'm like, that was the whole point of why you're in there. So, like, how are you in business?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, if you're listing, we could put down that it's a service, here's why a licensed contractor on such and such date within, let's say, the year, 6 months. Therefore, I would not agree, you have to put it in there. That's under the, have to put this in. It works in the store. Right.
But it's recommended by American
So this is a counter offer sort of
pretty much.
item. Yeah.
Okay, number 17, seller recommended buyers need a property inspection. I've had some, here's number 17, not a lot. So I got a challenge on the side on the line. And it's good and it has special. And the area of the neighbor come up with buyer with the agent. Buyers. I don't care. But I'm hoping that when the seller recommends, buyers will still try to inspect. Even if the buyers are not going to do it, I want my seller to have that. That's the those inspections done. So if the buyer doesn't do it, the neighbor comes back and says, well, why didn't you tell me? It wasn't in your disclosure. The seller can say, look, when it came up to disclosure that I know about, and after all, I did recommend. Number 18, this is something we put in our regulations and make it in the water longer. This is one I love. My favorite favorite one because there are some money masses out there that will get a net of a buyer and So, in fact, I'm going to do this. And so you're going to refer to your buyer and the other building. So number 19 says, yeah. In this particular case, we went to the buyer has sustained $5,000 fire cost because of the conflict that was listed right in this. So we did not want any part of the $5,000 to pay for any social costs, either on the buyer's part or on the seller's part. We want to keep the entire 5,000 real by not paying. And the other real thing was the policies. This person is if you suspect that's possible,
Would a referral be paid out of the agent's commission? Like if, you know, you referred a buyer to me.
The reason I didn't work with them, I didn't want to get caught up. Well, that's not what we call it. We don't call it. We don't call it. That's where we work.
Oh, I see, okay.
We give us ideas. What is? And then we have a repetitive. This is going to have to sit down. This is a very complicated return. It could be more complicated, right? There are just
So Kathy, whenever you receive an offer from somebody, you counter with a lot of this language just to seal it off. Okay, you never just like accept an offer without a counter. Right.
You don't want to run the risk of, you don't want ego, I don't want my ego to get if it's a 90% rate off, then also.
But it just seems like there's certain things in here you might want to have in every counter, just to say, okay, this is kind of how you do it.
This more design comes out with. Oh, yeah, every time we do, oh, that's, every time we do an amendment, the Germans are otherwise we sales price and the court. Because I associate all of the sales price. What was our case deal? I've got to look at all of the terms and conditions remain the same. I just wrote my first last night. Basically, what I was trying to do is extend the closing / court date. So that was the whole thing. But I said all of the terms and conditions except as on the part. You did what? All of the terms and conditions. Now let's say that the purchase offer two other agents on the fourth part of that. All of the terms and conditions of the purchase offer and it's one remain the same, except for one. So I don't want to complicate life. This is probably more. We all do very well in our roles. But this is the mistake. Thank you. We don't really need one, this is so detailed. Because
Yes, you could think that the home inspection done and repairs that are called for the home inspection are just to make that house more sound and safe for them, right? So it's not always the negative thing, but the negative part that happens in terms is when y'all have agreed to the repairs and we still call the things that y'all have agreed to, right? To make the public health. In addition to and the home inspection was done for a reason. The home inspection was done because the buyer was involved in dysfunction with the house. So, rightly so, you know, a lot of those things inspected the home and safety issues. So, I don't want that, the home inspection should be a negative thing. It's scary to you and always come to this and ask for, you know, some of the things on the home inspection, if you're not certain that it's needed or not, but, and what I want to see the repairs done with my work, right? But if there's places that are come later when we talk about fix that by fire, he's going to replace the entire neck deck, and he's going to do the banister, and go all the way down. Well, the point that I was facing the top of the stairs was incorrect, and the depth where there was some difficulties on the deck. Well, they didn't want to go and spend a whole bunch of money to replace or repair that management that's going to carry out anyway, and it's going to go there. So we alternative, they put plexiglass up there to solve that problem, and they actually allowed the back door to be screwed shut. So you could go out onto the deck, and at the bottom of the deck, they screwed in and locked up by fixing it.
It doesn't look good comparison.
Oh.
As long as there's a purple.
I mean, you know, some of there's only things that we can work together on those kind of things and solutions. So don't let them. And don't ever discourage the just for
One question I have though is, so if your buyer, you know, you have an inspection done and you get this report and the inspector recommends all these things and your client asks you, so which of these items, you know, let's say there's like health and safety audit and there's some other items that are not health and safety. You can just ask for it. So if are you open to any kind of liability by your client asking you for which of these inspections or repairs you should have done? I mean, would you want to advise it or just tell your client this is up to you?
I think what I think is
you know what I mean? Yeah. You don't want to. You're not the expert. Okay.
I think what you can say is
Yeah.
Once we know there's one out there, we can.
Yeah.
But you can always come to call and say, hey, we're running some repair data. How likely that the appraiser's going to call for this? You know, your maintenance items, typical efficiencies,
Yeah, that's my question. So how can you sort of screen these items without directly telling your buyer, like, these are the things you should do, because then you're sort of representing yourself as an expert.
you know, this is a high risk business.
Um,
And have this relationship. Oh, yeah, have this conversation. No, I'm serious.
You should give him the right address.
This is a lot of work. Oh, that's a lot of work.
Real quick, if you guys got a contract from Amanda today, as you can see, it's a little bit see-through. Please don't mistake that line around it.
So this is not like government level redaction.
No, I mean, obviously,
Yeah, right, yeah.
you guys can look up the property and see everything about this, but Joe Schmo walking down the block, that's the only reason why.
Don't leave it at the library.
Right.
This is my filing cabinet.
Really, what do you think we should do?
Thank you for your time today, Miss Kathy.
So I'll bring in some,
Oh, yeah,
So chocolate sprinkles.
You mean spirulina root beer float?
I'm a big fan. These are marvelous.
I added up my points, and which made a difference. But
I have some homestay cards that I'll bring. Okay. Yeah, so I don't think you guys are going I'll grab ice cream.
so I'll grab one ice cream too. What you got?
I'll get ice cream.
Your float's gotta be vanilla, don't it?
Yeah. I'll bring silverware next.
you're just gonna bring everything.
No.
What?
She's gonna use.
I'll bring a half a gallon. You bring a half a gallon.
You just said that you're gonna bring cups, ice cream, silverware, napkins.
So, me and Billy will bring the ice cream.
So, and then, what, anything else? Got it covered. What's going cherries? Cherries. Oh, great. No, I'm serious. I have some. You bring the cherries. I'll bring the cake, but I don't have any cherries.
Carl's on that team also.
Tell him to bring the cherries. Maraschino cherries.
Yeah.
In a jar. You're bringing those? You said so, Carl.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Carl's gonna bring those. Oh,